What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, we have former two-division world champion, Ireland superstar, known as the Jackal, Carl Frampton. 28 wins, 3 losses, no draws, 16 wins by way of knockout. He himself was knocked out. He stands at 5'5" with a 65-inch arm reach. He is now retired after his brutal knockout loss back in April of 2021 to WBO super featherweight world champion star boxer Jamel Herring, in which Carl Frampton was knocked out brutally in the 6th round of that fight. With that said, Carl Frampton, he weighs in on his fellow countryman, Olympic gold medalist, superstar, undefeated, multi-division world champion, who is undisputed, okay, in Katie Taylor. Okay, Katie Taylor obviously is a former sparring partner of Carl Frampton. She's from Ireland as well. Okay, she's an Olympic gold medalist. She's undefeated, 20 wins, no losses, no draws, 6 wins by way of knockout. She is 35 years of age, 5'5" with a 66-inch arm reach, okay? She'll be facing off against 7-division world champion, Puerto Rican superstar boxer, Amanda Serrano, who's 42 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 30 big wins by way of knockout, 33 years of age, 5'5.5" with a 65.5-inch arm reach. So they're relatively the same size. Katie Taylor fights at 135. She's won the world title in 2 separate weight classes. She's undisputed at 135. Amanda Serrano is a 7-division world champion. She's fought at 135 before in her career, but she made it clear she's much more comfortable around 118, 120 in those range. Okay, so with that said, Carl Frampton, who obviously is close to Katie Taylor, is from Ireland as well. This is a huge showdown, undisputed showdown. They're going to headline the first all-female main event card at Madison Square Garden, New York, the most famous arena in the world. And they're going to break a record because they'll be the first female boxers to make two guaranteed purses of $1 million plus. Okay, so Katie Taylor's set to make $1 million. Amanda Serrano set to make $1 million. With that said, Carl Frampton, he believes that his fellow countryman in Katie Taylor is in big trouble in this fight. He stated that he feels like Katie Taylor has slipped. Her last fight was Sharapova. She won a unanimous decision, but he said it wasn't that impressive. Jennifer Han, she won a unanimous decision, but it wasn't that impressive. More importantly, to me, the 2 fights with Delphine Persoon, okay? Those were the 2 telling fights, especially the first fight back in June of 2019. She won a majority decision, but I thought she clearly lost that fight. Okay, she came back, she fought Christina Lurden-Tuna. She won a unanimous decision. Then she rematched Delphine Persoon. She won another unanimous decision, but I thought she lost that fight, or it was a very close fight, that fight, okay? And so he's stating that, seeing as though Amanda Serrano is a very big puncher, she has more knockouts than Katie Taylor has fights, okay? 30 knockouts. Katie Taylor has a total of 20 fights. So she has 10 more knockouts than Katie Taylor has fights. She's 2 years younger than Katie Taylor, Katie Taylor is a very good pure boxer. Katie Taylor struggles with pressure fighters, hence Delphine Persoon. In that fight, she was putting a lot of pressure, making it rough and rugged, and Katie Taylor was very uncomfortable, okay? And so with that said, I believe that in this fight, she's an orthodox fighter. She's fighting somebody in Amanda Serrano, who is a southpaw, okay, with immense amount of power, okay? She's definitely a huge power puncher. And so with that said, Carl Frampton, he states that he don't want to say that he don't want to commit to Amanda Serrano winning this fight, but he sees Amanda Serrano winning this fight. And he says that, being in there with somebody as big of a puncher as Amanda Serrano, who's very hungry, who's looking to, make a name for herself, because she just feels like she don't get the respect she deserves, okay? She feels slighted. You have Katie Taylor is always considered at the top 2, and then you have Olympic 2-time gold medalist, 3-division world champion, undisputed 2 separate weight classes, fastest female or male to become undisputed and win 3 world champion in 3 separate weight classes and anybody in the history of sport of boxing, and Clarissa T-Rex Shields, okay? So with that said, you know, what Amanda Serrano has achieved being a 7-division world champion, it definitely gets overlooked, okay? In this fight, you know, Amanda Serrano's from Brooklyn, New York. This fight is in her backyard. And, I mean, Katie Taylor has 4 here as well. And Amanda Serrano has opened as the favorite. And Carl Frampton, you know, he's concerned. He stated that he believes that this could be the end of the road. This could be career ending, okay? He believes that Amanda Serrano is going to end the career of Katie Taylor, okay? And I have to agree with him. She's a very big puncher. She's very accurate. She's very sharp. She's very tight with her punches. She has a high ring IQ, very athletic, you know, doesn't waste punches, and she's a dog on the inside, okay? Amanda Serrano can take a punch, okay? She can dish it out, and she could also take it. That's where Katie Taylor, in my opinion, falls short. When Katie Taylor's pressured, she could dish it out for sure. But when she's pressured and she, you know, now she's on the receiving end, she's definitely not that comfortable in there. She's moving around the ring. You know, she can definitely fight on the back foot. She could fight laterally. She could fight north and south. Okay. And she has a high ring IQ, but she don't have the power to keep, in my opinion, to keep Amanda Serrano off of her. You know, when she's on the back foot, yes, she can box. Yes, she could counter punch, but she gets clipped. She gets very fatigued, especially in the second half of fights. Katie Taylor gets very fatigued. Amanda Serrano in the second half of fights, she picks up the pace, okay? She pushes the pace. She gets stronger as the fight goes on, okay? And she has a very, very high work rate. Amanda Serrano reminds me of, she's like the Errol Spence of female boxing with her approach, okay? She's a southpaw. She goes to the body. She changes levels. She's a dog on the inside. We just saw Errol Spence brutally stop his opponent in a massive unification bout against WBA former welterweight world champion Cuban star boxer Yordenis Ugas, in which he broke his ribs, his nose, and his right orbital bone, okay? And you remember Amanda Serrano's last opponent, the way her last opponent's face looked, okay? It was bad, okay? She truly brutal and battered her last opponent. It looked very bad. She broke her nose. This was the result of Amanda Serrano's last opponent, okay? Look at her face, right? That's what Amanda Serrano did to her last opponent. And this was a tough fight, you know, for Amanda Serrano. She was, you know, there was some tough exchanges. It was a very exciting fight, you know, but, you know, at the end of the day, look at the results Amanda Serrano has garnered, you know. Again, she's a huge puncher, okay? And when you factor that in, you know, and seeing as though Katie Taylor has issues with fatigue on the second half of her fights in the back end, you know, she gets very tired. You know, she gets very sloppy with her punches at times when she gets fatigued. And this is the result of you being fatigued against Amanda Serrano. This is the results, okay? And 30 knockouts. Okay, when they say women's boxing is not exciting, women boxing don't have, well, guess what? Amanda Serrano has 30 knockouts in her career. Okay, 30. Okay, Clarissa Shields has 2. Katie Taylor has 6. Combined, they have 8 knockouts. Okay, then you look at, you know, the history of women's boxing. You know, you had Layla Ali, who was a very, very big puncher. And then you had Cecilia Brækhus, who was seen as the queen, you know, of the women's boxing. You know, she definitely, Cecilia Brækhus, you know, definitely was one to be reckoned with, okay? You know, she got older. She's 40 years of age. She's finished. She was undisputed multi-division champion. She lost her last 2 fights to Jessica McCaskill. She's 36 wins, 2 losses, no draws, total of 9 knockouts. So you factor in Clarissa Shields has 2 knockouts, okay? You factor in Cecilia Brækhus is 9. That's 11. And then you factor in 6 from Katie Taylor. That's a total of 17 knockouts between three Hall of Famers, surefire Hall of Famers, okay, in Cecilia Brækhus, Carissa Shields, and Katie Taylor. Combined, they have a combined 17 knockouts. Amanda Serrano has 30 knockouts herself, okay? So that speaks volumes, and that lets you know a lot about her. So Carl Frampton, he's saying he believes that this is the end of the road for Katie Taylor. He fears this could be the end of the road. He stated that obviously he's pushing for, Katie Taylor to win the fight. He wants to see Katie Taylor win the fight. He's rooting for her, but he fears this could be the end of the road. And I believe this is going to be a retirement fight for Katie Taylor as well. They're talking about 2 fights, rematch clause, but I think that this could be very, very physical. We saw Cecilia Brækhus at the end of her career against Jessica McCaskill. It may be a situation like that, but I think Amanda Serrano is going to be very, very physical, and this could be very, very brutal at the end, and it may not even get to see 2 fights out of this. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Raw. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.